Guilds. They got this whole thing backwards, and I'm going to tell you why right now.
What you think about when you're born into a fire?
So before I get started on this video, I do want to say that if you are someone who has started a guild or plans on starting a guild before the launch of this game, or has joined a guild or plans on joining a guild before the start of this game, I am not trying to belittle you in any way. This is kind of a theory crafting. This is kind of trying to read between the lines, read the tea leaves to some degree. And I could be completely wrong. And the reality is that every bit of MMO history says that what you're doing is the right way to do it. Having these communities built and the bonds developed and all that stuff before the launch of the game is the right way to do it. Every bit of MMO history says that. So I don't mean this in a derogatory or negative way towards you. It's theory crafting. And so but it's something that I wanted to talk about. So with that being said, let's get into what I'm talking about with the guilds got this whole thing backwards. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the in-game experiences of a typical average guild member to show what I'm talking about. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a random guild member that was a friend of mine that's been in my guild for a long time. He's still part of my community. He goes by the name Dragon Rand. Now, off topic and not really relevant, but I believe that's from the Wheel of Time series, the name, and I don't think there's actually a character with that name. I think he like mashed together two characters, or like a title in a name or a place in a name or something. I don't know, but it was brilliant of him because nobody calls him Dragon Rand. They just call him Dragon. So his name is just, everybody calls him Dragon everywhere he goes. That's, good on him, I guess, for that. So anyways, let's say that Dragon's typical experience in a game like Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now, like any other player who's playing in a MMO, Dragon is looking to achieve. He's looking to do the next thing, whatever it is, make his character better, craft better items, whatever it is. When he's playing the game, he's trying to progress. Like we all are, whether that be progression rating or PvP or crafting or whatever. Okay, so let's say Dragon is in a raiding guild and he is trying to increase his DPS so that he can make it onto a top-end raid team. That's Dragon's goal. And so Dragon goes on to YouTube and he starts searching for, Star Wars: The Old Republic Commando DPS builds or whatever. And he finds one, and he finds out that he is missing one piece of set bonus, that he needs to switch his set bonus to a different one. And if he had that last piece, he would have the full set bonus, and then he would, it increases DPS by 5% or 8% or, whatever. So as a person who's in a guild, Dragon has a very easy solution to this. He comes to his guild leader, a very, very charming guild leader named Zillin, and he goes to him and he says, hey, I need this chest piece that drops off of this specific boss on this specific difficulty. And then as a guild, myself as the guild leader and everyone in our guild as the guild, we can go put together a team to go do that raid and kill that boss and make sure that Dragon gets the piece that drops off that boss. And it does not affect the guild in any way. Nobody has to change what node they're in. Nobody has to, it doesn't cost anybody any real money. Nobody has to change the way that they play the game. It's a raiding guild, so it's no big deal. It doesn't affect anybody in the guild in any way, shape, form, or fashion, aside from we have to go raid tonight, which, spoiler alert, we were going to go raid tonight. So it just happens to be this specific one for him. But there's no long-term changes. It's just the same thing. Now, you take that situation and make it, let's say, PvP. Dragon's in a PvP guild, and he finds out that, the class that he is, combined with this specific set bonus, or, this specific allotment of his skills, I forget what they're called, like utilities, I think, makes it where he can lock down a player, or lock down a specific class, or dominate, in AoE-based PvP objectives and stuff like that. And so, again, all he has to do is go get that set bonus, go change his utilities, simple stuff that either doesn't involve the guild at all, or the guild can just do it for him without having to do anything long term. Same thing with crafting. He gets a new recipe and it has a material that he doesn't have access to. he goes to the planet that where you can get it, and he goes and gets the material. Maybe if he's in a tight-knit guild, he can ask, hey, can you guys help me? And 8 or 10 guys from the guild all just swarm that planet and like completely extract all the resources off of it entirely. Sure, that might happen, but nobody has to change anything. Everything's fine. And so that is a typical experience for any. I can't think of any MMO where that's not the case, where a player can progress themselves in whatever way they need to progress themselves without having to ask the guild to change specific things about the guild or the characters or the players that are in the guild. The one exception to that being just in general, if you want to step up in rating, if you want to do more hardcore rating or more hardcore PvP, you might have to find a new guild that's what they do, because your guild may not be interested in doing that, but that's switching guilds, and that's a little bit more rare just in general. But either way, you can switch to that guild, and then once you're in that guild, nobody has to change anything. They're just doing harder raids or harder PvP, and so are you. So let's take Dragonrand and let's put Dragonrand in Ashes of Creation. So same experience. He's in we're going to use a military node, because whenever I was fleshing these ideas out with some friends, it was brought to my attention, or it was posited that PvP based guilds would be the ones who would be the most immune to this. So I just kind of want to show how they're not. So we're going to say it's a PvP guild. It's a guild that they've been established for a year already. They're going to stay established for however long it is until this game releases. During the beta, they're going to go and figure out what node that they want to level up and become part of, and be their home node, so to speak. And of course, they're going to choose a military node, because that they're focusing on PvP and all that. And so they get into the game and they do that, and every launch day, everybody rushes there, and they have their guild. Well, Dragon goes onto YouTube because he is trying to find a build for his class selection. They've already made it to level 50, and PvP is happening everywhere, and Dragon feels like he's not powerful enough. So Dragon is browsing through YouTube, and he ends up on Bardtic's channel, because by that time that this game comes out and all that, Bardtic will be one of the top theory crafting channels on YouTube. There's no question about that. Link to his channel down below. He ends up on Bardtic's channel, and Bardtic tells him, hey, look, in this video, he says, hey, look, this class that you have, it's really good. And if you use this weapon and use this augment, it gets even better. But what really sets this class apart is if you are in the religion system with the divine stuff, and you're able to take this specific augment that's, 5 or 6 levels up the religion line. And, this is all pure speculation, guys, because we don't really know. But so now, in order for Dragon to make his character be elite or, better in PvP, more competitive, whatever, Dragon has to move to a divine node, because he needs to start working his way up the divine path, and to get those divine augments. And we don't know this at this time, but just given the very heavy choice and risk reward based design of the whole rest of the game, I would assume you're going to have to stay a citizen of a divine node in order to access the divine augments. So now Dragon, who lived in a military node with his guild, now has to move into a divine node in order to maximize his character, or to get where he wants to go. You could do this for almost any part of the game or any way of the game. Somebody suddenly realizes that the boat, the whole ship system is completely awesome, and they want to go do that, but their guild, that was beforehand all picked, they picked a landlocked node, and so he doesn't have access to that. So now he needs to move to a coastal node so that he has access to harbors and can get involved in all of that. I know a guy who's created a guild that's going to be racial. Like they're going to be orcs, and I guarantee you there'll be dwarven guilds too. So they've chosen that ahead of time. We don't know anything about the passives or even active differences between the races. And so all these guys who've chosen to do that, that's great. They're going to role play as that, but what if they get in the game and they find out that the racial passives are bad, or whatever, and it doesn't work as well, and they need to play a different race in order to maximize out their character or to achieve the progress that they themselves want to achieve, and then all of a sudden they're having to go make a new character with it that's a new race, and of course they can't be in that guild when they do a new race. Same thing with crafting. Your guild may choose this biome, but you actually need a biome that's across the world in order to get the materials that you need for your specific type of crafting, or maybe you get a rare recipe drop from something or some other reason why you get it and you can't craft it where you are, and you find out that the one thing you need is across the world and it would be better if you just lived over there. So there's going to be a lot of reasons why I think that these guilds are not going. Some of them will. Some absolutely will. I'm not saying every guild's going to fall apart, but I think a lot of these guilds and a lot of these people who are putting together the guilds before the launch of the game, they're going about this backwards. Everyone is assuming that they are going to use their guild to build their node. They're going to choose a node and they're going to use their guild to build it up. And I think that is backwards. I think that is exactly backwards. I think what's going to end up happening is people are going to use the nodes to build their guilds, because once it all shakes out and people figure out where they want to live because of their own individual needs, then you will start to the regional aspect of this game, to the degree to which it will be regional, which myself and just about everybody I know who talks about this game agree it's going to be very, very regional. The regional aspect of the game will cause you to join guilds with people who are also in your region, because what you don't want to have is a situation where Dragon leaves to go live in a divine node so that he can get that one augment, and then now that divine node for whatever reason decides to attack the node that his guild is living in, and so now he's having to choose between his guild and his node. So those sort of things are at play here, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I kind of feel like there is a strong possibility that just the entire way that we're going about this, as a community and trying to put together these bonds in the communities ahead of time, like we always have, might actually be the wrong way to go about it for this game, which is the first MMO in 15 years at least, maybe 20, that's like truly trying to innovate and come up with something new, and using new ideas and taking the best ideas from multiple different MMOs and putting them all into one and infusing that with their own good ideas. And so maybe we got this backwards. And again, I just want to be real clear. I'm not trying to, talk down to anybody who's joined a guild, because I think you're probably doing it right, but there's a possibility that you're going to lose several guild members early on, because they're going to need to go to other nodes for other reason, because our characters and the way that our characters develop is so dependent on node type, node size, your ranking within the node, and all of that stuff. I do believe a guild size is another example. There may be an augment that is so powerful that you really, really want it, and it's an augment that is only for guilds that are 50 man or smaller. And now these 300 man guilds are trying to break up into a bunch of smaller guilds because everybody wants that augment. Like, that's possible, and that's why I think that this is backwards. Everybody's thinking that the guilds are going to build the nodes, and I think the nodes are going to build the guilds. But that's what I think. I'm really interested in what you guys think on this subject. I have a bunch of people that are starting to talk to me about, forming my own guild for this game. And while that is something that I'm interested in, and I probably being some type of a guild leader or even a mayor in the game later on is probably, aspirations that I have or where I'll end up being. I'm not sure I even know what I want to do in the game. So how am I supposed to lead a guild if I can't tell people this is what we're going to be doing? And then I start thinking about these things, and I'm like, how do I even know that these people are going to want to live where I want to live, or where, if we did a vote, where the majority want to live? So I'm really curious what you guys think about this topic. Please let me know down in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it. If we come to some type of a really strong conclusion, I'll try to see if I can present it to Steven and make sure that they are aware that the community is talking about this issue, and it's something that we've all thought about. So what is coming up next on the channel is a video discussing the implications of gear when you're talking about a PvE game where you're mixing the two, the different types of gear, the different reasons why you would want gear upgrades, and what Intrepid can do to kind of ameliorate a little bit of the differences between those two things. So make sure you subscribe to get that, and also come join my Discord community. Link is in the description below. People are starting to come in a lot. We're starting to have conversations about Ashes and all that stuff, and all of you guys are welcome to jump in there. So jump in there and say hi to us, and I will see all you guys tomorrow.